From France in our second semifinal, Paul-Antoine de Belval. And he will face, from Italy, Giuseppe Franzoni. And our officiating crew for these semifinals: Sharif Ali of Egypt, Piotr Kielpialski of Poland, Chua Eugene Wee Hong of Singapore, and Ko Jong-hwan of Korea. So this first matchup between Zhu and Barannikov. Well, Zhu started the day as number 8 seed, and he pretty well handled Cameron Evans in the table of 8, and it was Evans who had taken over the number 1 seed position and had a couple of really good matches. But after Evans, before Evans, it was Chen in the round of 16 and Lim of Singapore. Now, Barannikov had a tough match against Mihaly of Hungary, Imura, the number 4 seed Imura, and Cesar Colon Lopez of Puerto Rico. So neither one has had a particularly easy day, and they both deserve to be where they are. But this is a really interesting matchup, I think.
I think so too.
And Barannikov.
He was short first, and then the attack came from the right.
Well, he's got great footwork. He's really active on the piece. And
so far, Shu is managing well the distance.
But Zhu, I mean, he comes forward, and that's what he does, and he beats your blade, and then he attacks. That's nice there from Barannikov. Yeah, nice stop hit there from Barannikov. It's a nice attack from Zhu. Nice and simple. Well composed. And another counter there from Barannikov. And these are two opposing styles.
Very different, yeah. I think Barannikov is now comfortable synchronizing himself with Zhu, so he's kind of controlling the timing better.
But I can see why Zhu is asking for a video review here, because, and we can't get anything out of that replay right there, but that did look a lot like a counter from Barannikov to me, and it was, and that's what it was. It was Zhu's attack. Well, we saw him try that before, that over the shoulder, but the other time he was going completely around his neck.
Yeah.
Barannikov off target. Yeah, final action, parry Barannikov.
Very nice exchange there in close distance, but very clear blade contacts.
There's nothing given there.
Not really sure why they called the halt, to be honest.
They could both wield their weapons. They weren't in, there was no core.
Yeah.
Well, as the clock winds down, and we go to the 1 minute break, it's been Barannikov who's been doing everything.
Yeah.
And it seems like Zhu, he just comes forward. He just comes forward. He comes forward. He comes forward.
He likes the blade contact, fast actions, good ability touches. And I think if Barannikov controls the distance and the timing, he can really control the bout, which is what he's doing right now. If he gets too chaotic or he rushes, that's when it's going to open the opportunities for sure to win the bout.
Well, we don't see it on the screen, but we can see here Barannikov and his coach, his coach isn't talking to him, he's just sitting next to him. And, what would you say to Barannikov?
Yes, keep it simple, good footwork, control the distance, and, kind of control the phrase of fencing.
Right.
Try not to get it messy. Try to, find the right timing to finish the action. Impose. He has a better technique, so that's why he needs to create a space to use it. Nice.
Okay, big beat.
Barannikov, he was a bit off balance coming out and an easy target for that parry.
Big attack there from Zhu.
Yeah.
He seems to be, in the first period, I felt like he was just doing the same thing over and over and over again. And now in these first two actions, there's more variety.
He's moving more, back and forth, more aggressive. And that is throwing Barannikov a bit off, so let's see if he can find the balance again.
Barannikov a target. That was interesting. I hope we get a replay. Here, look. Interesting to see a counter come from there.
He didn't find the parry, but he countered, and Barannikov went too deep with his tip out of targets.
Okay, a lot more variety in this period from Zhu. Ooh. And Barannikov is having to work a lot harder now than he did in the...
Yeah, but to me he's rushing. He's just rushing all over the place, and that creates opportunities for Zhu.
Well, you know, it may be this change that Zhu has just thrown out there. I'm going to show you a different person. You haven't seen me yet.
Yeah.
And here I am.
Now it's like an exchange of punches. That's better.
Yeah, he's through. But as you said, it seems more rushed than it does just upping the pace. Yeah, still Zhu's attack. Well, somehow, I think we could see the replay and not have any idea what happened. The referee says Zhu stepped in and stopped. We can see here. Well, that's a little late in the... Well, if we look at it from there, you get at the very beginning of that, you see him kind of hop in and stop. But that is not what the referees are going to see. And I believe that the call is going to stand.
I think it's going to change. Let's see who's right. Oh,
yep.
You're right.
Yep. Yep. He stopped. Yeah, right there. Oh, well, that's the wrong monitor. But Sheriff Ali over to speak to Barannikov.
I think he's having breathing problems.
Yeah, a medical team is coming out.
Mm-hmm. And what is this rider score now? That it's still 13-11, right? Yeah.
Well, we can't really see, and we don't have a camera down there, I don't believe. Sue is...
He was putting his hand on his chest. Now they have started the 5 minutes medical pause.
Yeah. And is that Dr. Claire Halstead that's down there? No, they're making him lie down. It's not Dr. Halstead, but another member of the medical commission. And
you're gonna even listen to his heart. Maybe some palpitations.
Yeah. I mean, that would seem to me, it's called tachycardia.
Yeah.
Where your heart speeds up and starts racing. And not necessarily in a
controllable fashion.
It's not necessarily even. It's uneven, and it can
takes your breath away
and scare you senseless. Have they got oxygen mask on his face?
They have put some ice on his head, from what I can see.
Well, they're taking his blood pressure now. Sue they can do nothing but sit and watch. But this is quite worrying. It's 5 minute medical timeout, and it's under 3 minutes now. And if he can't get back up and fence, then
he's certainly not feeling good.
If he can't, if he can't get back up and fence in 2 minutes and 40 seconds, then he'll have to abandon the match. Well, he's sat back up. So now the doctor's going to have to make an evaluation. Mm-hmm. And the medical team tells him to sit back down. He's going to give it a go.
And in the meantime, Sue needs to really keep his concentration.
Well, these things are always a distraction. But
yeah.
the thing is, they're both sort of in the same circumstances.
Yeah.
Well, they will stop the medical timeout clock, and with 1 minute and 11 seconds remaining in the second period, BARANNIKOV holding a 2-point lead, and we're back to action. Lovely parry there from BARANNIKOV. Well, Sue looking for a parry, can't find it.
Yeah.
And that will do it. After some drama, Zhu will go home with the
back in good shape.
Yeah.
Two really good quick touches. Nicely executed.
Barannikov will fence for gold. Zhu takes home the bronze medal. And it was an entertaining match.
Yeah.
It was a bit odd. It had a little bit of everything, but we have, we have seen everything today.
Yeah.
We'll have our second semifinal coming out in a minute, but this is day 5. This is the midpoint in the